Perhaps there's no greater vehicle for assessing the passage of time and habit patterns than vacations. Perhaps there's no greater vehicle for the meeting of oneself year in and year out than when you go on a vacation or you take some time off. I think Thanksgiving has its quality than other holidays. We're all alone with your nuclear family, which is called nuclear for a reason sometimes. Families are the places where our habits, most deeply ingrained habits, energetic patterns, the way that we look at the world, the way that we take in the world, the beliefs that we have about ourselves and the world. Families and our patterns are almost synonymous for the good and for sometimes the challenging. Of course, that's the reason why the Torah introduces us to the world of God through the vehicle of family. Torah is not a theological treatise, doesn't begin with postulates and a catechism, but just a father, a mother, and some struggles, and we're off to the races. The moment that we've all been waiting for, and as the Torah turns each and every year, is this moment, the Shabbos, in chapter 44 of the book of Genesis, a moment that each and every year, no matter how old I am and how many times I've read this story, brings me to I literally can't read the story. This reconciliation between the brothers, the ultimate expression of what took place in chapter 4 with Cain and Abel, in the story of Joseph and his brothers. Joseph, Alice Miller's, the drama They Give the Child was speaking about Joseph. Before Alice Miller, there was Joseph. The gifted dreamer, the vain, narcissistic maybe, beautiful, curly-haired, cherished, most beloved, chosen of his father, Jacob, has been sent into the pit, we know, as the brothers sat to eat bread. And now after a number of chapters, here we are with the brothers having come down to Egypt, as we know the story, just to refresh your memory, and not recognizing their brother because he now no longer looks like he once did, which is remarkable. How could they not recognize him? But of course, they didn't ever recognize him, really who he was. And he's played the part, and he really has played them, right? They don't know that the second most powerful man in the world is actually their kin, is their brother. And he has them where he wants them because there's famine in the land. And of course, Joseph, as we remember, was the one who solved the famine problem. And so he's now the viceroy. And he plays the brothers, planting the money that they had used to buy the wheat back into their wheat sacks. So as they were on their way home, they get caught. He demands that Shimon, one of the brothers, be left as collateral to make sure that they'll come back to get him. They go back to Jacob. Jacob says, "What are you doing to me? This is, neurotic. This is crazy. This is not what I anticipated." He decides that he's not willing to let them take Benjamin back to save Shimon. They almost die from famine. Finally, Jacob concedes, and the brothers come back with Benjamin, the second favored of Jacob, and so on. We know the story. Until finally, this capricious viceroy allows Shimon to go and Benjamin to go, but puts his divination cup into the bag, into the wheat sack of Benjamin, after saying when they come back after having been caught, Judah rips his clothing, the brothers rip their clothing, they cry and they say, Judah says, "The one in whose bag the cup was found will be your servant." And that's the way we left last week's Torah portion with a cliffhanger. Because, of course, it's found in the bag of Benjamin, and Benjamin is the one that they can't leave in Egypt. I was expecting to give you a review, so now I'm thinking I left a couple of details out, but you guys got the story. But what happens next, of course, is that Judah steps forward and begins to talk to Joseph, not knowing it's Joseph. And Judah, in his speech, which is the longest monologue in the Torah, somehow unlocks Joseph. Somehow Judah tells him the thing that Joseph needed to hear that breaks Joseph open. We as readers might think that just could go on forever. We as readers think that maybe, right, Joseph is thinking that Benjamin will stay with him and the brothers can go home. We don't know. But after 17 verses, Judah says his father, the name father, my father, 14 times. He repeats the whole story. And by the end of this monologue, which takes tremendous courage, because Judah, after all, is approaching the most powerful man in the world, or one of, Joseph, in chapter 45, the Torah tells us, he couldn't hold it in. So what was it that Judah said? What was it that Judah said and did, besides saying, my father, my father, my father, that broke open Joseph and breaks me open every year? I think it's pashut. I think it's simple. When Judah stepped forward, he was saying something so profoundly simple and important that I think every year it kills me. Chazal, the rabbis say that Judah and all of his descendants are the archetype of the Baal Tshuva, the archetype of the one who is repentant, the archetype, the embodiment of the one who is ever evolving, ever wanting to make amends, ever wanting to improve, ever on the road towards self-awareness and reflection. Judah is the penultimate, or maybe the ultimate. Maybe King David's the ultimate. Maybe Judah as his answer. He's the ultimate man who says, the ultimate human who says, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on myself. I'm not giving up on who I might yet become. Who I was is not who I have to be. The last time you saw me, Joseph, I promised that I would come back and get you. I threw you into a pit, you didn't know. But you know, a lot happened since then, Judah said. While you were becoming the viceroy, I got married and I had 3 boys, and 2 of them died. So you're now looking at someone who knows the pain of losing a child. And in the interim, right, life was not so perfect for us as brothers. We all suffered. Judah stands in with Joseph and says to Joseph, I changed. You don't know me because you're the viceroy of Egypt. But I'm not who I once was. I'm a different man. And I'm here because I believe that it's possible to fix the past. It's possible to make a different choice. It's possible to be new. It's possible not to be defined by. It's possible to grow out of. And how can Joseph not, in that moment, when Judah stands before him and says, you know, take me instead of Benjamin. Take me instead of Benjamin. I know I'm the fourth and I'm the leader, and later on in Jewish history, scholars will say that I'm representing the kingdom of Judah in the war against the kingdom of Joseph. But forget about all that. I'm standing before you. And I've changed, I've suffered. How can Joseph, hearing those words and seeing those actions, not think to himself, and me? Have I changed? Or am I still that guy? The guy that's been plotting for 20 years for this very moment. I have them right where I want them. Vengeance is mine. Let me point out that I had dreams and now they're coming true. You're bowing before me. Ha ha. Didn't I tell you what's going to happen? This ultimate moment of vulnerability from Judah is so profoundly courageous and vital to understanding why this breaks all of us. Because Judah's me and you. And Joseph's also me and you. Joseph is the one that says, I'm not sure if we can learn new ways. Joseph is the one that's thinking like, you know what, I'm going to create some kind of experiment to see if indeed I know how to change. If indeed time matters. If indeed I can do things differently. And Joseph's not sure, he's kind of cynical. Not earnest like me. Cynical. He's withholding. And when Judah's earnestness and sincerity and his humility and his vulnerability and his suffering stands before Joseph and says, I'm human. I'm human. I made a mistake, but I want to make it right. In that moment, Joseph realizes that if he doesn't let go of his grudge, then he will become to his own father. He will take a son away from his own father, and he will then become the brothers. It's very Darth Vader meets, right? It's Anakin Skywalker. It's all happening. The myth is all happening. And it's right here. Judah is the one who says, I believe in human capacity to change. And he throws it down at the feet of Joseph and says, how about you? You believe it? I wake up every morning with Judah's name on my lips, and so do you. If you follow the Jewish tradition's liturgy, each and every morning, the first words out of a Jew's mouth for 2,000 years have been Modeh Ani. I give thanks to you, God. Modeh Ani, from the word Judah, Modeh. Judah's name means grateful. Leah was grateful for Judah. She said, Hapam Odet Adonai, this is my gratitude, baby. And then we continue. Modeh Ani Leverecha Melech V'Kayam, King, source, sustaining, that you've given me back my soul. Rabba Munatecha, great is your faith. Great is your faith. Every morning we remind ourselves that not only are we invoking gratitude, but invoking the archetype of Judah, of the addict, the one in recovery, the one who's been down this road 1,000 times, in the same argument, on the same vacation, the same place, every single year. And we wake up every morning and we say, Rabbi Munatecha, we have faith, or your faith is great, God. Or Judah's faith was great. Faith in ourselves that we can do things differently. Faith that we can learn from our past mistakes and go forward. And when that happens, Yispardu Kol Paralei Avin, in that moment, it's hard to keep a grudge against a person like that. It shows the superficiality or the lack of faith in the other. It shows where they're stuck. And thank God Joseph wasn't stuck. Thank God Joseph was broken by Judah's courage and vulnerability. Thank God Joseph, hearing his brother's suffering, softened himself and revealed himself. And so that scene could happen where he sees Benjamin and Benjamin sees him, and they're looking at each other, and before you know it, they're crying on each other's necks. Then the brothers saw Joseph crying, it says in the text, and they knew that they had been forgiven. I don't know, I'm holding that with all of you. I'm holding this question of whether or not I really believe in my own ability to change. I'm holding whether or not I believe in the ability of this community or other communities or individuals in my life who seem irretrievably and inexorably stuck in patterns that they can't just one. And it throws me against my own belief in the possibility of transformation. And in that moment where I throw up my hands and I'm like Joseph saying, I don't know if this is going to work out. I think no one's going to step up here. It's a blessing to find Judah again. At a moment, I think, where we as a Jewish people, we as a community, the broader community around us, we can easily gather evidence in the anti-Judean polemic against human transformation. There's plenty of evidence to show that our folly knows no end. There's no shortage of evidence to showcase how we fail to learn from our mistakes. And so how do you wake up every morning and just say, you know what? That's true, but that was yesterday. And I've suffered since then. And I've learned. If anybody stopped you on the street and said, what's the most important Jewish idea? And it's not even our idea, but let's just call it a Jewish idea. Maybe monotheism, maybe. I'd say the most important idea that we believe in is Judah. We believe that who you were matters, but who you might be matters more. I take that, I take that in. Here's to all that you might be, each of you, in all the places this year ahead will take you, and all the courageous ways that you will step differently on the same parcel of land, respond differently in the same moment, and how you wake up each day saying, Moda Ani, I'm from Judah, gosh darn it. Rabbi Emunatecha, I believe we can change.